This is Karita Parks with Bowie Television at the Under Armour Performance Center, where the Baltimore Ravens are gearing up for another key divisional matchup on the road against the Cleveland Browns. And it is sure to be a battle, as the Ravens offense will be going up against the top-rated defense currently in the NFL. Now, on the other hand, the Ravens defense, they feel like they're doing pretty good. And so all this talk about the number one defense, Roquan Smith isn't trying to hear it because he feels like it is too early in the season. So while the Ravens are not saying they want to make a statement defensively, you best believe that they're definitely going to go down there and try to show that they are not small fish in the sea. Additionally, offensive coordinator Todd Monken, he spoke to media about some of the mishaps that we saw last week against the Colts on the offensive side of the ball. What he is looking for this week is for his offense to go out there and execute much better. We heard a theme between special teams and offense that they want more consistency, so that'll definitely be something to keep an eye on. On the injury front, some good news for the Ravens. They did get some key guys back: Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum, and safety Marcus Williams, who was feared to be out for the season. They all practiced this week in a limited capacity, but it was good to see that they're back on the field. But on the other hand, there are still some key injuries. Wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. did not practice. Wide receiver Rashad Bateman didn't practice. Marlon Humphrey, he's still on the injury list, as well as others. So the Ravens are still looking to get healthy, but getting some guys back is a positive sign. This is Karita Parks with Bowie Television. Be sure to follow us for all your Ravens coverage, and we'll be back with a recap of the Browns game and much more. Ronald, first of all, I know you came into the fold a little later in training camp, so can you just talk a bit about like how you're acclimating into the defense and just with the Ravens in general?
I feel like I'm catching on everything fast. Like, I got a feel for a lot of this stuff. Know how a lot of the players, work their stuff. And, I got back into football shape, so I'm feeling good. Like week to week, I'm feeling better and better.
Yeah, can you, I guess, talk a little bit about, because I know you had your injury, and like what that process is like you said, getting back into football shape and getting back acclimated to playing the game?
It just takes a lot of dedication in the earlier part of the rehab. Once you get over the hurdle of trusting your knees, just staying consistent with adding strength on and just getting back to the cutting, breaking down, just waking your muscles back up.
Yeah, and so there's been a lot of talk about obviously Cleveland's defense because they're the top-rated defense in the league, but I know the Ravens also feel like they have a pretty good defense as well. Does that give you any extra motivation, or you just kind of don't worry about it and play your game? How is that as you're preparing for the Browns?
To be honest, I'm not worried about their defense. I'm worried about their offense. So, I'm just going in preparing, knowing it's a division game, it's an important game for us. Each game is important, but just going in, studying film, making sure I'm ready when it comes Sunday.
So then, speaking of their offense, Deshaun Watson. I'm sure, like, what have you just seen from a general perspective, not strategy or anything like that, but what have you seen from him just in watching film?
Yeah, playmaker. He can make plays. He can extend plays with his feet. You know, athletic. You know, he play hard. So you just gotta come prepared to play.
Yeah. And then in this room, you're considered more of a veteran. So have you been able to kind of have that influence on the players, your teammates, etc.?
Yeah, for the most part, we got a good group. So a lot of the guys out here work hard. You know, Rock, he a veteran too.
Yeah.
He's Steve. There's a lot of other veterans around. So we all, you know, we're just getting better.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
When going against the Cleveland defense, obviously you see the numbers are all up there. But what stands out to you when you're looking out there? Like, that's kind of what the challenges they present.
No, first of all, it is a great challenge. Playing there, that's number one. They do a great job of challenging you schematically in all areas as you get ready. In terms of your game plan, they challenge you, and they do it with tremendous players, but it's one thing to have tremendous players and the way they play. So it's going to be a great challenge for us, and we're excited to go.
Todd, what's it mean to you to go back to Cleveland, given your history there?
Oh, I don't know. You know, that was 4 years ago, basically. In some ways, wish I would have done it better. You know, there's some of that the Hasms were great. JW, Paul, front office was great. We just didn't do it well enough. I didn't do it well enough. So that part of it. But I'm excited to go back. I'm a Raven, and that was 4 years ago.
Is there any, it's kind of a dumb way to put it, but extra motivation in that regard because, you know, it didn't really go maybe the way you wanted or hoped? And so.
No, there's no motivation is to play better on offense and to execute at a higher level and stack plays. You know, you can't go score, fumble, and then you go 4 straight possessions putting the ball on the ground. I mean, that's what motivates me. It's not, you know, it's not going back to Cleveland. It's the product we put on the field consistently, starting with me, how I do it, and then our players taking the plan to the practice and then to the field, because we've seen what it looks like. So now we've just got to continue to improve. That's the motivation.
Lamar's fumbled the ball 4 times. I mean, hasn't lost every single one of them, but he's fumbled 4 times. Is that a concern? Is that something you have to address with them?
Sure. It's always, it doesn't matter whether it's Lamar or any quarterback in terms of their ball security in the pocket, outside the pocket. And you know it's coming the more it ends up on the ground. I mean, there's no question they're showing that to their defensive players. So it's a point of emphasis this week of all of our players. We can't turn the ball over, can't put it on the ground. It puts us all at risk.
He didn't end up throwing downfield very much against the Colts. What happened to sort of make that the case?
Some of it was, you know, early in the game we did the first 2 drives. We had, you know, seam throws or a pocket throw to get it. And we had another opportunity late in the game. But some of it, we were trying to get the ball out. There was a situational part. There was others we did have opportunities, or we were trying to get it down the field, and we just didn't end up getting to it either by protection, route, and some of it was by design that we were trying to stay a little bit ahead of the chains.
Did they do something different than take away his the run in overtime, Lamar running in specific?
Some of it they did. They got some bigger people out there that made it a little more difficult. Got to do a better job of scheming it and calling it. That's for sure at the end. But no, we certainly, and there's part of it that we didn't execute well enough. So it's all the above. But it starts with me and how we do it, and having a much better plan and giving us a chance to execute at a much higher level.
What is the message to the offense this week? You know, it's only week 3 of a new offensive system. Do you, after a game like that, do you kind of say, all right, you know, we're still in the early stages of growing, or how do you kind of talk to them about that?
All the above. You don't want to overreact, but you don't want to just scrub it under the rug, because it was just a week ago we went to the Bengals and played really, really well and functioned at a really high level on the road. So we have it in us. So how do we carry that week to week? How do we install it, game plan it the right way, so our guys understand what to expect and when we get there, or we get those opportunities, we have a chance to execute at a high level. That's really what it is. At times we have too much drag. Too much starts with me. I mean, I'm in charge of it. We have too much drag, and there's a lot of reasons why that is, but it really don't make a shit. You got to clean it up and get better at it and take it to the field. Because like I said, 2 weeks in a row we've taken the opening drive and gone down and scored. And then it carried over the Bengals, and then, it didn't. We had certainly an opportunity on that second drive, and then we just sputtered. Then we just never got that mojo back, and got to find a way to get that. Got to call it better. Got to execute better. That's the way it works.
What are some broad strokes ways of contending with the Browns defense? I know that they're aggressive. They talked about how they really wanted to make Jacksonville goals. What are some broad stroke ways of going against that defense?
Well, first off, their goal, they're trying to make every quarterback uncomfortable, like every defense is. I mean, the idea is if you make the quarterback uncomfortable, then it's difficult for them to operate. So I understand that part of it. Our job is to try and make it where he's not uncomfortable. It's really actually pretty simple. In football, they're trying to make your quarterback uncomfortable. We're trying to make him really comfortable, and then we'll see. That's really the chess match there, really. You know what I'm saying? And we got really good players, and they got really good players. So let's go.
How much does their speed pop on tape when you watch
They
them?
just play hard. I just think they. I think they've done a nice job of their acquisitions in the offseason, bolstering their defense. Obviously bringing in, Jim and they're bringing a new defensive scheme. It's got a new excitement, a new enthusiasm. And then when it gets backed up in games, it even just raises another level. Does that make sense? Like, all of a sudden that confidence level just continues to raise as there's a belief system, then it gets, translated onto the field, so then it just raises like, okay, this is what it looks like. So that's our job to do everything in our power to not have that happen come Sunday.
How much harder is it to put the focus that you want to on blocking Garrett when you know they have Za'Darius on the other end?
Sure. Well, they've got good players, so it's not even just him. I mean, they're very active at linebacker. I mean, they like to bring Delpit. They bring multiple players. They get edgy. They make you defend, a number of players, a number of coverages, schemes, just in terms of just making sure you're sound. And to me, the biggest thing is how do you stay out of those long yardage situations? How do you stay out of the chains? And when you get opportunities to be able to make plays down the field, but that's not just them, that's everybody. How do you stay out of chains, and yet how can you still be explosive to give yourself a chance? And that's the challenge, playing a good defense.
I know it's probably different for every receiver, but what do you want them, how do you want them to improve when they can tell a blitz is coming and, Lamar might not be able to get to the end of his drop before he's got to kind of get rid of that?
Sure, we did an outstanding job at Cincinnati in terms of when they did come, in terms of our recognition. And some of it was still good on Sunday, we just weren't as clean. We weren't as clean in some of the protections, something to do with them. We weren't as clean in terms of our routes. We weren't clean in a lot of areas. In terms of the calls, I mean, it's all of us. I mean, at the end of the day, you own it. We got offensively, okay? We got to coach better. We got to attack the weak better, and we got to execute better. It's really that simple.
Todd, how difficult is it to keep with a game plan, especially passing, what you want to do passing, when you might be without two of your top receivers?
Well, I mean, first off, that's why Nelson Aguilar is here, as a player. Devin Duvernay's made plenty of plays here in the past, and Zay is a fantastic rookie, only going to get better. So Mark Andrews, I think for the first time in 3 or 4 weeks is feeling, better. I mean, I think he's moving better. I mean, really, this is the first week I've seen, and probably 4 or 5 that I feel like he's at full speed, so that's a positive, that's a plus going into this week. And every week that we're together, I really believe we're going to continue to do it better, and we'll see. All right, thank you.
Some people skedaddle to the locker room, which is interesting to see.
Mike, after Chubb's injury, do you see them changing a lot from a run scheme standpoint without him, or is it just kind of plug and play?
Probably more the latter. Just small sample size with the one game, but sticking to their normal plan. Very potent run game. Some of the best in the league. So expect the same.
Like we obviously saw Kyle Hamilton and how he was used this past week. Do you think with his versatility and other teams' strengths and stuff, it's going to be a week-to-week thing with him and where he plays and how much you need him in the nickel and all that?
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment. Again, we talked to his versatility for forever now, it seems like, but definitely allows you to have that flexibility on a week-to-week basis on how much. I don't think the plan was to put him there the whole time. You know, it's just, and you see how games go. So, and then where we're at personnel-wise as well. You know, that we'll be driving those decisions from a week to week, and then throughout a game basis.
Mike, how seamless or how impressed have you been by Darryl Worley's translation from cornerback to safety to be able to basically be an every down defender for you guys on Sunday?
Yeah, that's a great point. Really seamless, I guess, is a great way to explain it. You know, throughout the spring and the off season, it felt like a seasoned vet back there, and understanding kind of the eye progression and the overlap and the things we're trying to create in the secondary. Just had a great feel for it from the get-go. So seamless is a good way to describe it.
When you have a guy like him or Moon play that many snaps in the game, how do you approach this week, just in terms of workload or making sure they don't get tired out after the game?
Yeah, you don't want anybody playing 100 snaps, but obviously the game unfolded a certain way, and you know you got to do what you got to do to try to win the game. But you know, it's a tough league going back and 7 days later, and sometimes 3 or 4 days later having to play a game. So these guys are pros. Harv does a great job of setting the schedule up, and we have a bunch of recovery things that guys are taking advantage of. Everyone has their own individual kind of plan on a week-to-week basis, but those guys, I'm talking, they're a little sore, but they said they'll be ready to go.
You're blitzing at a higher percentage than you were last year. Is that driven by the fact that you're missing a lot of guys on the edge? Is it more about sort of the matchups you faced so far? I mean, what's pushing that right now?
Well, it's something that we want the ability to do at any given point. So you're to have the threat of a blitz on either side or up the middle or double edge or whatever. You're always want that threat to an offense. So that's just part of our identity. I think you might not have seen it last year for several reasons. Probably what we felt like our team strengths were and how good we were at the different kind of pressure packages that we're able to get to. So I think it's still a game plan idea, but it's something that we're definitely going to carry and have the ability to get to at any point in time.
Mike, watching tape of the Browns this week, did you see a clear difference with Watson's, how comfortable he was in his play last week than you had from when you were watching him the first 2 games?
It's tough to gauge his comfort level. Definitely the effectiveness and the efficiency of the offense. You can obviously go by the stats and the score and things like that, but feel like they're finding their stride and who they want to be. Definitely for sure.
Mike, what impresses you about how they use Amari Cooper kind of hunting for matchups, just his ability to lift the lineup anywhere and be successful?
Yeah, they do a great job. It's you don't see that a lot of receivers playing all those different types of positions, and they find different ways on a week-to-week basis to scheme them open. To your point, and it's credit to him. It's probably not easy to be a receiver and learn all 3 spots, sometimes 4 spots, and learn the whole route tree from there. So definitely a dynamic player that we're going to have to account for and understand where he's at all times.
Coach, in terms of the intangibles that some of these guys bring, in terms of Patrick Queen, we saw him, take responsibility for the loss per se, like after this game. After this last game, what have you seen from him in that aspect, personality-wise, getting more comfortable to being a leader?
Talking about just with PQ?
Yeah.
It's the PQ that we know and love. I mean, it's nothing different that we expected. It's nothing out of the ordinary from him. To me, it's the guy that we know, on a day-to-day basis. And I'd speak to the whole defense and team rather. The mentality and the things and the discussions that we had after the game. Not that you're proud to hear it, but it's reflective of the character of the guys we have on the team. Everyone's looking inwardly. We're humble and hungry enough to look for things that we can do differently on an individual basis and eventually make our team better, to take the next step and become the team we want to be over the course of the year. We're 3 games in, going into a 4th game. We got hopefully a bunch more after this, and really I think that attitude is reflective, throughout the locker room.
Their defense has obviously been tremendous so far. Is that something that you pay attention to at all, or does it stoke any competitive aspect in your players, do you think, or is it you don't play them so it's not really on the radar?
Our focus is really just how good can we be as our defense, and how what we can do to win the game. Obviously, they got great stats right now, so got to give credit where credit's due. But we have enough to worry on our side of the ball.
As far as run defense, what do you want to kind of improve upon? I know the Colts did run 30 sometimes to get those yards, but as far as the defense, what do you want to see improved in that aspect?
Well, to your point, there's definitely a standard here in run defense, and you can't give up 4 explosive runs. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. There's really a couple of them we lost the edge on two runs on the 24-yarders, and then we can play the interior runs better on the stretch cutback and the split flow play. We just need to play that play better, and we missed a tackle on that one as well. So we've talked about those plays. Guys, it's very clear on what happened in those plays and who's responsible for it. We'll leave that in-house, and we just keep attacking it, and this is definitely a challenging run game that brings to the table, so it's all hands on deck this week, as with every week.
Coach, can you talk about Kyle Hamilton's progress, and especially after his performance last week, and kind of what you expect from him this week?
Well, he had a great game, and was able to get the ball off the quarterback the one time that probably could have changed the game there at the end of the half. But it's I'm not surprised. It's what we expect from Kyle. He's a guy that we're going to move around, and we expect to influence the game from multiple positions. And the expectation is to do it on a weekly basis. I mean, he's that type of player. So moving forward, just keep being him. Don't reach for plays. Let the plays come to you. But play with the effort that he's playing with, just like the rest of the defense, and keep attacking the ball so we can take it away and give it back to our offense.
Mike, is there anything you need to see from Kyle Van Noy to convince you that if you need him Sunday, he'll be ready to play?
Well, I can tell you this: he's an impressive guy. I mean, from the day that we came in to visit and just getting to know him and talk to him about ball, and he's already got third down thoughts and stuff like that. But it seems like he's been in this defense for however long. But it's impressive. Similar like when Roquan showed up, you're just like, okay, this dude, he knows his stuff. So he's an impressive guy all the way around. Obviously, a great football player from what we've seen already on the practice field, and he's got a great track record. So we'll see how it shakes out over the course of the rest of the week, but I feel really great about it.
It's about the little details, and that's really what we're chasing. We got a division game this week. We're looking forward to just really going out and trying to play our best football game. We still haven't put that together, but we're doing some good things, and those things are showing up on the tape, but we got to really find some consistency, and that's all a part of what we're doing. Questions?
How have you evaluated Jordan's stats? He's been up and down. He has great punts in week 3, but also the last one seemed strategic that it was supposed to be high, and it was kind of that's 2 questions.
Overall, I thought, we think he's done a good job. He's done a good job so far, really just kind of doing what we've asked him to do. And then there's some things that we could always work on, right? It just goes back to that consistency thing that I'm talking about. It's everywhere. It's across the board. It's not just Jordan and punting. It's us covering the punt. It's just doing our jobs and understanding how to get those things done. But that punt at the end of the game, obviously, that's an opportunity for us to flip the field. The drop was a little bit high, and it didn't go where it should have went. So again, we're just trying to chase those little details. I think overall, after 3 weeks, Jordan has done a pretty good job.
Chris, what are specifically some of those little things beyond obviously just consistency and trying to clean up that end of it? What would be an example to those little things?
Some of the little things, just making sure everyone's doing their job. Being where we're supposed to be in coverage. We have responsibilities, and we haven't really truly fanned the field like we need to. So we spend a little bit more time just making sure that we all understand that. It's easy to kind of sit in the media room and coach it and do all those things, but it's another thing to go out into a game and actually get those things done. We've been pretty good at it, so we just got to keep chasing those little details, and we got the guys in the room to get it done.
Chris, are you allowed to essentially onside kick a free kick? Because I know you had your hands team on there with Devin Duvernay on near the side of the line of scrimmage on the free kick safety.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they can pretty much hit any ball that they want in that situation, right? And that with that time, that's kind of what we were thinking. We thought we were under the 2-minute warning, and we kind of did what we did with the instructions of Zay, and we're just putting the right guys out there. They hit the ball, pop a ball up. We want guys out there that can fill that ball.
Is that a situation that you kind of practice a lot? It seemed like it was a very unique kind of instance, the timing, everything involved.
I think that we've practiced that situation. But when you get in those situations, it gets real chaotic. You're trying to get the right guys out there, right? Because normally you'd put your kickoff return team out there, right? And then so that team's different than what your hands team is. So you got to run around, you got to grab all the guys and kind of do that, And so it's just one of those things where we missed that opportunity. But again, that's one thing we're definitely working on.
How much of the injuries really kind of impacted your unit? Now Tylen lands on IR. He was a key special teams player.
It's huge. It's across the board, right? It's just not my unit. It's across the team, and we kind of just roll with it, right? Like I said last week, if you're on this team, you belong on this team. When you get your opportunity, you just go out and you just try to play your best football. And if we do that, it has affected us a little bit because the guys that normally do play for us, they're playing a lot more offense, they're playing a lot more defense. But we don't kind of use that as an excuse. If you're here, and you're on this team, and we put you out there, we're expecting you to go play well.
Chris, what happened on the 32-yard punt return that they got against you guys? It looked like Jordan basically executed the kick that he wanted at the time. You had guys in the area, but it was one person out of position, or what happened there?
Oh, I thought the punt was great. Punt, it was a great location. It was good on the punt, and we just had guys not going to that ball, right? I think when you look at that play and we sit back and we watch those plays, Isaiah's there to go make the play, right? But he's really the only guy on the left side. So we were missing two players that should have been over there on the left side. Guys got to continue to just do their job when they're out there and get to the football, and we'll be fine.
Chris, it looks like Jalen Armour-Davis, when he kind of is able to separate, just flies downfield, and the speed really pops on tape. I guess what did you kind of see from him and the way that he's been able to execute for you guys?
It's one of the things with Jalen, right? He is a fast guy, and when you put him out there, you want to put him in a position where he could utilize his skill set, and speed is one of them. So when he is out there as a gunner, we want to make him plays. If he's in the single, we want to allow him to get down there and make plays. We're playing him on kickoff. We got him playing all over the place as a gunner, a corner on punt return. He can do a lot for us. He hasn't played a lot of football, right? So he's still considered a young guy that we're trying to get to play up to the standard. He has done a good job so far.